to another edition of Lee's Open Mic. And today we are just pleased as punch to have Jimmy Pardo sitting over there next to us. Good to see you there, Jimmy.
Hi, Lee. Why do you keep saying us? You're saying sitting next to us.
It's a Southern thing.
I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm not putting it down. I'm
see, I just said we. We are plural. I speak for everybody.
But
here,
you said,
Jimmy.
I understood we in the sense of we welcome the show. But then when you said sitting next to us, then
sitting next to us. That's right. That's a Southern thing.
That's the Southern thing.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take your word for it.
Or I could be demonic. I could be Legion. There could be several of us.
Well, that could be. I didn't know that was an option. I don't know what you guys are doing down here. Maybe that's also a Southern thing.
Yeah.
I'm a Yankee.
Where did you grow up?
Chicago.
Yeah.
I grew up in the right in the city of Chicago. Then we eventually just kept moving into the suburbs, away from frightening.
Yeah.
Is what they would say.
Yeah.
And then I moved to L.A. 20 plus years ago.
Mm-hmm. So you launched as a comic from Chicago?
I did. I went to Second City right out of high school, and that wasn't my bag. You know, I appreciate the art form of improv and sketch, but stand-up was what had to happen, and so I started. You hit the open mics and. Right. You run your mouth and you hope people like it.
Yeah, but that launched in Chicago as well. I mean, you were doing sets in Chicago?
Yeah. I started in Chicago. I'll say it. October of '88 was when I started open mics.
Right.
My first paid gig was March of '89. Yeah. Quit my day job in July of '89.
Wow.
So I've been doing this full time since July of '89, for better or worse.
So what did the family think of that nonsense?
Oh, Jesus. My mom and then stepdad, oddly enough, were pretty supportive. And my dad, an old Italian, not old at the time, but an Italian guy from, you get your hands dirty.
Right.
He may or may not have understood it, and thought I should go to school and have a backup plan. And he would keep talking about, well, what's the backup? What's the backup? Because that's what his dad taught him, And there is no backup to this. You either jump in and do it,
correct,
and then figure out, hey, it's not for me, and then you get out, and then you go to your backup, but. I just kept pushing it. I sucked for a lot of years. Yeah. A lot of years.
Right.
I was horrible. But luckily, I got through that, and here we are.
So now, when you say you sucked,
yeah.
I mean, is that just self-effacing, or did you really believe
No, I think I really stunk.
That's not a subjective, but
no,
an
I
objective
don't think I did it. I don't think I thought that at the time. I think I thought, well, I'm making money, I'm getting
working
booked.
It out.
I can't be horrible.
Yeah.
But I think I probably was horrible.
Yeah.
And I don't, there's got to be times where I wonder why I got rebooked. And I look back at how bad I was. I don't even like my Comedy Central special, which was 2002, which is 15 years ago.
Yeah, I can't go back and look at stuff like that.
I don't even like that one. And I'm on, that was television.
Yeah.
A special on television. And I think I stink, so.
There's for me, though, like if I look at something I've done, like I love it when I'm doing it. This is brilliant.
Right.
Why don't I have a deal? I'm a genius.
Yes.
And then you get about 5-6 weeks away from it. Oh, my God, I have humiliated myself. Yeah. And I feel that way until about a decade. And I look at it and I start giving myself a break. Well, I was a young kid. There were some good things in there. There were some mistakes, but...
Boy, you're nicer on yourself than I am.
Yeah.
I hold on to that humiliation.
Do you?
And
well, you're a better comic than I am.
Oh,
maybe
Lee,
I've
always been a better comic than you. Even those years when I sucked, I was a better comic than you. But you've gone on the news and you're legit.
Oh, this is legit.
I'm grateful I have a podcast, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, look at this brick wall we got here, Jimmy. It's legit. Digital Mason brought it together.
Even in digital masonry, it looks like the type of brick that you nail to the wall.
Yeah. It is cheap.
You couldn't find actual brick?
We couldn't afford it. Yeah, this is all we got.
All right.
So, and we go to Los Angeles because that's where dreams are made, Jimmy.
Here's what happens. I was working around the Midwest. A guy named Eric Fagan, who used to book Evening at the Improv, he was out for CBS television. He was out doing a talent search. He saw me in Detroit. He said, holy moly, you're terrific. I'm doing another showcase. I cleaned that up.
Yeah.
I'm doing another showcase in Chicago in 2 weeks. I want to see you on that show as well. So I was on that show, and then he said, I want to manage you, but you have to move to L.A. This was in late '94, and he said, but you have to move to L.A. So I moved to L.A. in January of '95 for him to manage me.
Casting couch.
I banged around with him a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Very helpful. He had a nervous breakdown 3 months after I moved there, got out of the business.
Is that right?
Yeah. So I moved to L.A. thinking I had management, and a guy that works at CBS and at the Improv. Here we go, right? And he has a nervous breakdown, quits the business. Don't know what he's doing today. And was scared and lost and didn't know what to do. And luckily, this other guy signed me a couple months later, and I've been with him ever since.
Oh, okay,
and,
good.
Yeah, Bruce Smith has been with. I've been with him for 20-something years, and he's 22 years. And he supported me through thick and thin.
So now, Jimmy, when you were working on the act and you were developing who you were, at some point you developed a relationship with the Conan OBrien people.
I did.
How did that manifest? What happened?
It's a neat story. I put that in quotes, and the off chance people don't think it's that neat. I was just doing shows around, touring. I was a touring comic, and I was doing shows at the UCB Theater in L.A., doing talk shows, non-televised talk shows. Right. And Andy Richter had done a few of them, and I'd done some other shows with Andy Richter around town. And then word came that Conan was moving from New York to L.A. to take over The Tonight Show. Yeah. And I was like, boy, that'd be neat to work on that show, but I don't know what I would do. And so then 2 days before they went on the air, I get a phone call saying, "Hey, Conan OBrien wants to meet with you to do warm up on the show." And it's like I didn't move out there to be a warm up comic. I didn't want to. I wanted to have my own show. I don't want to pass out candy bars and T-shirts and have people do a dance contest.
Cookie, right? Yeah.
So I said, "But you know what? This is the Tonight Show,
yeah,
and it's Conan OBrien. You at least have to take the meeting."
For sure.
So I go to the meeting with every intention of saying no, but I had to take the meeting. And I get to the meeting, and Mike Sweeney, who was the head writer at the time, said, "Here's the deal. In New York, we were using one of the writers, Brian McCann. He would write all day, then he would run downstairs, do the warm-up, and then we'd do our show. And it worked great. But now that we're doing the Tonight Show, Conan wants a guy, that's all he does is warm-up." And I said, I don't really want to do warm-up. I didn't move here for that. And he goes, "Well, here's what happened. When we said we need a guy, Andy Richter said, well, the only guy that can do anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour off the top of his head that has the same sensibilities as our show is Jimmy Pardo.
Yeah.
So if you don't take this job, we don't know what we're going to do."
Wow.
And I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to take it." And so then they get on the phone and they go, "Yeah, he says no." And then Jeff Ross, the executive producer, came in and goes, "What do you mean you don't want the job? It's a great job." And I said,
Jeff Ross,
Jeff Ross, the producer, not the comedian.
Okay.
And who's been with Conan from day one.
Okay.
And I said, "I don't want to be the guy handing out candy," like I said. And they go, "Oh, you don't have to do that here. You literally go out, you'll do 8 minutes, you say, 'Please welcome Conan OBrien.' Show starts, here you go." I go, "Yeah, what about commercial breaks?" "Nope. You do 8 minutes and you're done. Show up 5 minutes before you go on, leave when you're done, piece of cake." I go, "Yeah, I didn't really move here to be a warm-up."
Right.
"He doesn't want the job." So then Conan walks in, there's no seats in the room, so he sits on the floor, crisscross applesauce style, and I just thought that was that shows you what kind of guy he was.
Yeah.
So at that point I went, I got to take this job.
Yeah.
But I still played hardball for some reason.
Right.
And he's like, "Come on, they're like begging me to take this job," mainly probably for desperation because they had no other choices. I took the job. I was horrible at it. Horrible at warm-up. A nightmare. And
why? You've got all this experience.
I don't know, Lee. It just was a thing where my brain wouldn't click. Like maybe I was doing an impression of a warm-up comic. I don't know why, but I wasn't good. And now this job that I didn't even want, I'm hoping to Christ they don't fire me.
Yeah.
And eventually I got good at it. And I did the warm-up there, which then, as my manager at the time said, once you're there, they're going to see what you can offer. And you're going to go from warm-up to doing remotes to whatever else they're going to do. And sure enough, they're like, "This guy's hysterical."
Right.
I had never met Conan until he sat in front of me on the floor.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing remotes I did a couple for the Tonight Show. I did stuff for TBS. They started having me on as a guest. I filled in for Richter when he had to miss a few shows as co-host. So it went from this job that I didn't want to, honestly, the greatest relationship that I've had in show business.
I mean, that's awesome for you. And when you do the warm-ups, a lot of crowd work?
It's all crowd work.
It's all crowd
work. And I don't
work.
do it anymore. I left the warm-up thing.
No, you don't do that anymore.
No, I don't do it anymore. But it was time to go.
Okay.
But it was all crowd work. And the beauty of it is that not unlike Vegas, everybody there is from out of town.
Yeah.
So you say, "Who's from out of town?" "I am." "Oh, where are you from?" "Lexington." "Oh, I've been to Lexington. You ever go to County?" And then you talk about there, and you make a couple of local references to them. they get a nice charge out of it. Oh, we went to Conan, the guy mentioned our street.
Well, those guys are there to laugh, too, as opposed to a Vegas casino where they're just there killing time, doing something else, or to drink, and you're just a distraction for the moment.
For an hour and a half. Yeah. But at Conan, and especially there, as opposed to like a sitcom where people don't even know what they're watching, everybody's there to come and see their hero, Conan O'Brien.
Right.
So from the second they walk in, they're psyched.
Jacked.
They're jacked up.
Oh, that's great. So now, worst gig, Jimmy, that you've ever done?
The worst gig?
Worst gig, what'd you have to go through?
It was at a naval base, which will remain nameless, where I got chased to my car after the show.
Really?
Oh, it was horrible. Oh, it was horrible. It was
by sailors.
By sailors. Here's what happened. So the opening act, who's since passed away, God rest his soul, he's killing. He's killing. Yeah. And I had been there maybe 6 months prior and had a great show. Came back, and she's like, "Hey," the woman's like, "Hey, I'm glad you're here. We had a situation last week where the headliner only did 14 minutes." And I'm like, 14 minutes? Boy, how bad was that show, 14 minutes? So this night, the opening act's killing. I go on stage, and I'm destroying. I'm like, oh, here we go. You know,
we're good, right?
Piece of cake, right?
Yeah.
Until, and I'm in this league, I don't know what happened. To this day, this is almost like 15, 20 years ago. I don't know what happened, but they went from loving me to hating me like that. And so I'm panicking. You know how it is. You're sweating. You're getting dry mouth.
Was it a particular line or joke? You don't know.
No.
You don't know. Okay.
To this day, I don't know. I wish there was videotape of it so I could see why it happened. So I'm looking at my watch, and I'm only at 8 minutes, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm not gonna go longer than last week. All I want to do now is go longer, so I'm not the story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm struggling, and I'm trying everything to get them back. And I finally looked down, and I beat in 14 minutes, which is all I wanted to do. And I said, well, I'm going to tell you guys one more thing and then go. And the woman in charge looks at me like, what do you mean? And I go, trust me. And her name was Cindy. I remember that part. I go, Cindy, it's for the best. So I said, I'll tell you one more thing and go. Some guy yells out, don't even tell us that. Just go. And another guy stands up and goes, leave him alone. And again, sailors in outfit. Right. The other sailor stands up and goes, hey, leave him alone. I think he's pretty funny. Realizes nobody's on his side. Goes, not that funny. Sits back down. And I said, well, that's, I told my last joke to silence. I said, that's it for me. I said something vulgar.
Yeah.
Which I can't. I don't know what I can say on this, so I won't say it.
Yeah.
That's it for me. Blah, 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 blah. Came off the stage. Cindy, the talent coordinator, had my check in one hand and my coat in the other. She said, get out of here. They will kill you. And so I grabbed that stuff, ran to my car, and I look back and like, oh my God, they're chasing me to my car. Yeah. So they chase me to my car. I get to my car and peel out and take off.
Right. I was thinking about that backup plan Dad was talking about.
At that point, you know what? And that you're not kidding. That was one of the maybe 3 times in my career where it's like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I've had those. Jimmy Pardo, one of our favorites. Good to see you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. I
Thanks
appreciate it. That'll do it for this edition of Lee's Open Mic.